Hi, and welcome back to another daily dose of anime recaps. In this episode, we shall be covering the manga The Dark Magician Transmigrates after 66,666 years. Many years ago, there existed a dark sorcerer named Diablo Volpir who possessed immense power. He was arrogant and nearly killed the gods, so the 12 gods had managed to seal his powers and prevent him from causing further harm. But what will happen when Diablo Volpir eventually breaks free from his seal and is reborn as a young boy? Will he continue his path of destruction and seek revenge? To find out the answer to this intriguing question, let's explore the fascinating story called The Dark Magician Transmigrates after 66,666 years. It will provide us with insights into the plot and the reasons behind the Dark Sorcerer's sealing. And if you like this video, don't forget to destroy the like, subscribe button and comment below to let us know how much you liked it. The main character's name is Jamie Welton, the official heir of the Seldom Kingdom's Count family, and also a dark sorcerer sealed off by the 12 gods. After a seemingly endless time, Jamie finally found a crack of the barrier and was reborn into a happy family with loving parents. After 9 years in his new body, like every day, Jamie woke up and started a mundane day by changing clothes and having a meal with the family in the dining room. Amidst the joyful atmosphere, Jamie appeared to be cheerful and integrated well with the family members. However, upon returning to his room, a weary expression took over his face because, as a dark sorcerer, he could never get used to how over-affectionate those people could be. Thinking about his reincarnation and being trapped in this weak body while those 12 gods still existed happily, leeching off of their believers as if they were parasites, Jamie looked at his hand and let out a malicious smile. Dark magic didn't exist in this world, but that was not important because he would change everything and become stronger. Having spent a disappointing half day at the library, reading a boring and unhelpful book on mana breathing, Jamie found himself drawn to an elderly man in front of him on his way to the lunch hall. A tremendous amount of mana leaking from the man was almost like a raging storm, leaving Jamie in awe. Curiosity piqued. He asked the man who he was, only to be met with a magical assault instead of a response. Jamie, who was on the verge of defeating even the gods in his past life, found the actions of the old man to be a blatant and unacceptable provocation. In response, Jamie quickly unleashed a powerful magic attack, considering the old man as an opponent. Despite its strength, the attack had no effect. Now it was the old man's turn to strike. He launched a massive magical attack, moving as fast as a bullet. But Jamie didn't react because it wasn't aimed at him. Suddenly, his father, Count Argino Welton, appeared and countered the magical attack with a single sword strike. Then, with a serious expression, his father suggested, "Let's have a quick chat, Marquez Linmel." They began their conversation over a hot cup of tea. Instead of explaining the reason for the attack, Linny asked his father, "How much do you know about your son?" Marquez Linmel, known to be the strongest 8th class great magician, declined the request for teaching Jamie upon realizing that he was not skilled enough to mentor such a talented young individual. Linmel acknowledged Jamie's exceptional ability to understand all forms of magic and his fearlessness in the face of Linmel's powerful attack. With Jamie's extraordinary potential, it was possible for a legendary 9th class magician to emerge in the future. After their conversation, Linmo left, but not before going to Jamie's room and giving him a magic tome book. Linny threw the book at Jamie, criticizing his old magical techniques that were no longer suitable for the current world, and then disappeared. Although slightly annoyed, Jamie decided to spend the rest of the day exploring the book. The more he read, the more excited he became. He even summoned a small creature named Black, whom he had previously crushed, and asked it to break apart some mana for him. Having fulfilled the first condition, Jamie proceeded to contain mana in different parts of his body, transforming his small form into an unlimited space to absorb mana. Jamie spent the whole night learning the new magic. The next morning, he woke up and shouted, "I got it!" After achieving 4 the class mana, Jamie's first thought was to share the good news with his father. At the same time, in the tea room, Count Argeno was having a brief and somewhat tense conversation with a visitor from the Janus sect, which quickly ended. Upon seeing an unfamiliar man with a distinctive emblem leaving through the main door, Jamie hid behind a wall. The man wore a symbol of a crescent moon holding a yellow sphere, something Jamie could never forget, even after being reborn thousands of years later. The presence of the enemy sect within the Count's territory sparked Jamie's determination to take action and protect his father by driving them away from their peaceful domain. Entering the room, Jamie proudly told his father about his achievement. Count Argeno tried to stay calm, but he couldn't help but be amazed by his 9-year-old son, who possessed an incredible amount of mana throughout his body. A child who could accomplish so much, mastering all the magic tome of an 8th class magician in just one day. The thought alone made Count Argeno sweat with a mix of joy and sorrow. Compared to this child, his talent seemed like nothing. That night, Jamie quietly left the mansion, his mysterious appearance enhanced by dark wings on his back. His goal was to investigate why the Janus sect had appeared in their territory. In a dim alley, 2 child traffickers discussed their nefarious activities when Jamie suddenly appeared, his face innocent yet filled with a chilling presence. How interesting. You're asking who I am. The 2 individuals immediately rushed forward to attack, but they were quickly subdued by Jamie's magic, leaving them no choice but to kneel and confess. Jamie furrowed his brow in confusion. In a territory governed by a count who adored children and family, how could these people dare to engage in such activities? Having had enough of the involvement with the Janus sect, Jamie knew his father would not let this slide. Using his control magic, he commanded the culprits to run to the Count's residence and spill everything they were planning on doing. As the attackers slowly stood up and began to go, they were abruptly struck and thrown back by someone else. Not wanting to miss the opportunity, Jamie used magic to heal them. But the scar-faced mage ordered their henchmen to seize them right in front of Jamie. Feeling unreasonably disrespected, Jamie scolded the mage, and suddenly his body was pierced by the opponent's magic. The scar-faced mage laughed maniacally, continuously launching attacks until Jamie's body seemed to vanish. To everyone's surprise, Jamie was still alive. He reappeared next to the mage and revealed that the defeated person was actually the mage's underling. Realizing the deception, the criminal Hanny swiftly unleashed a 3 class explosion magic called Buster, intent on reducing Jamie to ashes. But Jamie retaliated with mind control magic, turning Hanny into a puppet. Seeing this, the others were terrified and tried to flee, but their fate didn't fare any better. After eliminating Hanny's subordinates, Jamie took control of Hanny, commanding his new slave to answer his questions. Jamie had hoped to gather some new information, but it turned out to be no different from the words of the 2 child traffickers. For such a wicked and guilty person, Jamie decided on a perfect solution: to drain his mana completely and only keep his body. Then, Jamie turned back to the 2 child traffickers that had been resurrected just moments ago. Since they still had tasks to fulfill, Jamie chose to use necromancy, the ability to raise the dead, transforming them into loyal slaves and granting them another chance at life. Amidst the chaotic surge of lightning, with the assistance of Black, Jamie began performing the ritual to bring back the sinful souls. Abandon your lives and arise. An undying body awaits you. You shall pass beyond death. The incantation was repeated continuously, accompanied by the souls being pulled back into their bodies. Fortunately, everything succeeded, but there was a slight difficulty as the black smoke still clung to their bodies. Then, he ordered the Black to help him to eliminate their black smoke. With that done, the next step was to give orders. Jamie smiled brightly and said, "You guys have only one job. Surveil the Janus church and gather information from them. And one more thing, bring one person who might know something about child trafficking. I need to make that person the reporter instead of you guys." He had tightened the knot of subordination on them very tightly. so they wouldn't be able to disobey his commands. So, he and Black returned to the residence without lingering any further with them. The next day, as usual, Jamie went to the dining room to have breakfast with his family. His mother announced that tomorrow they would attend a ball, a large-scale ball organized by Count Simon and Count Welton. It was expected that most of the nobles residing at the north of the Seldom Empire would attend the ball. However, the matter concerning the child traffickers was still unresolved. So, on that evening, taking advantage of everyone in the mansion being fast asleep, Jamie and Black jumped out of a window and stealthily left for another location. They headed straight to a tavern in the city where their subordinates, Philip and Janus, had been waiting beforehand to report on the information they had gathered. Philip struggled a bit and confessed that they hadn't found out anything about the Zenith cult yet. However, they had managed to capture a human trafficker from a criminal organization. Philip revealed that the person who was currently tied up and kneeling before them was one of the members of Libel. That person knew that Philip and Janus would be assassinated by Han Nai, so that means he was a member of the inner circle. Jamie commanded Janus to undo his gag so that Jamie could personally interrogate him. As soon as the gag was removed, the Libel member pleaded desperately, saying, "Please spare my life. I really don't know anything, but if you let me live, I'll get you any information that you need." Jamie quickly reassured the person that he had no plans to kill that guy, only wanting his cooperation. Using a few words, Jamie managed to frighten the person to the point where, even though that guy couldn't see the dark smoke, he could still sense the chilling and malevolent aura emanating from Jamie. Despite the pleas, Jamie had a perfect alternative plan in mind. Placing a hand on the person's head, Jamie used mind control magic to turn him into his underling. Jamie then immediately ordered his new underling to go to the Count and expose all the evil deeds committed by their organization. Once the task was completed, Jamie untied that person. Then, he instructed the two loyal underlings to quickly escape the city and hide. Jamie anticipated that once his father learned about the situation, he would order the military to exterminate the Libel organization, and they could also face the consequences. With the matter of the human traffickers seemingly resolved, Jamie headed towards the door when suddenly, Philip called out, "Master, what have we become?" He knew that they were corpses. He had accepted it as it was irreversible. He didn't want to go back to his previous state as well. He was satisfied with his power, but he had to know what kind of being he was. In the past, Jamie had engaged in such magic numerous times, so normally, those who were brought back to life would refuse to accept their state as they had lost their humanity and turned into a monster. However, Philip and Janus were the direct opposite. They appeared to accept this reality surprisingly fast. Jamie explained that they were just zombies. It was just that their appearances had been preserved the way it was before their death. After they turned into zombies, their strengths had grown more than that of a normal person. But depending on what they did, they could become a high-class zombie. A member of Libel, a large crime organization rooted in Heist, had accused his own organization because there were still tasks to deal with. The Count had to arrive later. So Jamie and his mother arrived earlier to prepare for the grand ball. After a carriage ride, they finally reached the estate of Count Simon, who had organized everything for today. Count Simon was so considerate, as the butler welcomed Jamie's family at the gate and prepared comfortable resting rooms for them. Time passed slowly, and after the servants helped them put on expensive and elegant clothes, they all followed the agreed time and entered the party venue together. The upper-class society truly lived a glamorous and extravagant life, dressed in fine silk and velvet. Jamie sat next to his mother, watching the wealthy ladies surrounding her, and grew tired of their constant flattery. Having lived for thousands of years, he could be considered the oldest person there. It was always the same. Foolish ones would suck up to the gods or powerful beings. The party was just starting now. A man stepped forward in the hall and introduced himself as Rewel Banner, in charge of administration of the Regen land. Since the party was about to begin soon, he instructed everyone to sit at their assigned seats and welcome Count Simon and his family. After the introduction, a famous magician known as the Red Lotus Magician for having taken thousands of lives in a single attack appeared. This man had impressive blood-like hair and was dressed in fancy clothes. He was a powerful 7th-level magician, and Jamie felt the pressure he emitted was as strong as, or maybe even slightly stronger than the Marquis Linman. Count Simon and his wife approached Jamie's family to greet them, but it seemed that the Count was more interested in Jamie. The man spoke up when he heard Jamie introduce himself, saying, "Your name is Jamie? We'll see each other sometime later." Jamie nodded, accepting the invitation right away because this person was even stronger than he had expected. He felt excited about the prospect of having a magical exchange with him. The party had just started, and while everyone was chatting and mingling, Jamie quietly slipped outside to find a quiet place. As Jamie wandered through the flower garden, lost in thought about Count Simon, suddenly a voice came from behind, asking, "Conversation with who?" Jamie swiftly pulled out a magical weapon and aimed it at the person's throat, but then abruptly stopped. To Jamie's surprise, standing there was a girl around the same age, but she had managed to completely hide her presence. Jamie had asked for her name multiple times, but she kept avoiding the question, speaking in a snobby tone like a spoiled young lady. Frustrated with her attitude, Jamie fired an air bullet, a 2N class magic at her foot, and warned her that if she didn't have enough magic resistance, this would easily pierce through her skin and muscles. It was enough to instantly kill a child. Finally, the girl hurriedly revealed her name as Ash Ballet, the second daughter of the Ballet family, and also a spirit magician. From what Jamie knew, spirit magicians were magicians who had made contracts with spirits, which were mystical beings born from nature. There were not many spirit magicians on the continent, but what amazed Jamie even more was that this girl, who was the same age as him, could hide herself so skillfully. She must be a genius born with natural affinity, and in the future, when she started training properly, she would even be able to make a contract with the king. Jamie didn't want anything more than to know the identity of the girl, but didn't anticipate that she would follow him around all day just to befriend them. Ignoring her straightforward request, Jamie refused angrily and walked away. For him, friends and any type of close relationship made people lose rationality. This girl just reminded him of something unpleasant in his past life. Out of the blue, Count Simon's son and 2 other kids approached. Except for the bossy one, the other 2 children were talkative and boastful to a frightening degree. To create a more peaceful atmosphere, Jamie raised a hand to his lips, casting a silence spell on them, and they immediately fell silent. Alf noticed Jamie's gesture and put on a cheerful face, saying, "Since you and I will become the core of the nobles in the eastern region in the future, do you think it'd be good to become familiar with each other from a young age?" And of course, for someone as proud and noble as Jamie, that was something impossible. Only when Alf was rejected did he truly show his true colors. He took out a magic wand because he wanted to resort to violence right away. In his other hand, he held a small gem, which was an illusion magic artifact. Then, in an arrogant manner, he declared that Jamie would have to bow down and beg for forgiveness soon. Being threatened by a mischievous kid was quite ridiculous. Jamie refused to back down and used a skill called the Pain to exert physical pressure on him, while sternly warning, "Do not deactivate the artifact, or else everyone will have to witness you guys in absolute agony." Alf's defeat came surprisingly easily. He collapsed onto the grass, looking extremely miserable, continuously wondering how this situation could have happened. The Welton family was always known as a family of knights, but little did Alf expect that the Count's son would possess such impressive magic skills. Alf couldn't accept it and made a promise to himself that he would crush that talent to make Jamie never use magic ever again. Alf returned with anger. He, along with the 2 boys, secretly searched the entire mansion for a new artifact to seek revenge. Right then, Alf's younger brother Renan appeared from behind and handed him a precious item. Just like his brother, Renan resented Jamie and told Alf to teach Jamie a lesson carefully. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter how you got it. Nothing is more important than crushing the brat. Later that night, Count Argino finally arrived, and Simon personally came out to greet him. Since the party was over, the mansion owner took the esteemed guest to his room for a private conversation. Their conversation mostly revolved around Jamie, the magical prodigy. Count Simon was amazed by the child and praised Jamie endlessly, saying that no human with this much talent had ever existed. Although he felt jealous, Count Simon was also curious to see what a magician who had reached the pinnacle of wisdom could do. As the night grew late and Count Argino became tired, Simon suggested that he go rest and continue the discussion the next day. The following day was the second day of the ball. Ash approached Jamie again, eager to be friends. This time, she brought her older sister along. When Jamie saw Rebecca Ballet, the eldest daughter of the Ballet Viscount, he was stunned. Her face looked just like Jane's, the woman Jamie deeply loved in a previous life but sacrificed herself to the gods for him. That was also the reason why Diablo Volpir became a monster without any emotions. Found you. From now on, you'll address me as Sir. Alf spotted Jamie in the distance and hurried over, holding an object in his hand. He wanted to use the power of a 6th class Phoenix Wraith to attack Jamie. A huge fire erupted, but Jamie managed to neutralize the new spell, ensuring it didn't affect the others. Reconnecting with the girl was interrupted, and Jamie's anger reached its peak. He yelled, "Die!" At that moment, a freezing magic began to spread, threatening to engulf Alf. Just as Jamie was about to strike the boy in front of him, his father appeared in time to stop him. Count Argino used magic to make Jamie unconscious. Witnessing his son's actions and his expression, he was truly scared. Both counts watched everything from a distance. They thought it was just a misunderstanding caused by kids, but it wasn't. If Count Argino hadn't intervened, Alf might have died. The hall was thrown into chaos because of this incident. Simon, speaking on behalf of his son, apologized to Count Argino's family and the guests, then ruined the event. That night, Simon was furious and called Alf to his room, scolding him severely. Then he asked who provided the Phoenix Wraith, leading to a very dangerous situation. Facing his father's intimidating gaze, Alf had no choice but to tell the truth that Lennon was the one who brought it. Shortly after, Lennon was summoned too. At first, Lennon pretended to be unaware, but he was quickly exposed by Simon for his lies. "Lemon, you didn't do it for your brother. You just wanted to manipulate him." He knew his kids wanted to get his attention by doing things like this, so he told them straight up that instead of wasting time on tricks like this, they should prove themselves worthy of his bloodline. Before leaving, he made sure to tell the two kids to go to Jamie's room and apologize right when the sun came up, and they couldn't leave until Jamie forgave them. That same night, a mysterious man tied a letter to a pigeon's leg. The letter said that even though Jamie Welton, the eldest son of the Welton family, was only 9 years old, he was presumed to be at least 4th-class magician. A ridiculous, talented magic genius had appeared in this world. Nobody knew who this person was or what his plan was. After a good long sleep, Jamie went wandering in the forest early the next morning, looking to find the girl of their dreams. It was the last day of the party, so he wanted to see her again before going back home with his family. All of a sudden, he heard the sound of water, but didn't know where it was coming from. So, he used their magic power to search and see who was causing it. When he got there, he found a girl summoning a water spirit named Undine. The person he wanted to see the most had shown up, and to his surprise, Rebecca was also a water elementalist, just like Jane. The children quickly became friendly with each other. Jamie asked the girl sitting next to him, "I heard that the Ballet family traditionally make contracts with wind elementals. Was that not the case?" Rebecca nodded and agreed. She said that in the past, many wind elementals had come to visit her, but they refused to make a contract and left after meeting her. Until an Undine came, telling her that it was their destiny to make a contract with her. Jamie listened quietly to Rebecca's words. A contract made with an elemental king is a soul contract made on each other's life. As time passed, the two of them had a pleasant conversation. However, it didn't last long because Jamie had to say goodbye to Rebecca and hurry back on time for departure. When Jamie returned home, Simon's sons were waiting for him. Oh dear, it turned out these two little ones had come here as instructed by their father to apologize. That was understandable, but Jamie didn't expect another person to be present in that place. Renan, instead of feeling regret, arrogantly explained that he was the one who provided the artifact to his brother. Such maliciousness in a child immediately made Jamie feel disgusted. Being offered insincere apologies with a smug smile was a pointless gesture. Jamie guessed that this despicable person must have thought everything besides his father was inferior to him. If left unchecked, he would surely continue to cause more trouble in the future. Jamie stepped forward, placed his hand on Renan's shoulder, and whispered, "If you really are the person behind the crime, then you deserve proper punishment. Don't you think so?" Just as Jamie finished speaking, darkness suddenly enveloped Renan, pulling him into an illusion. Sitting alone in the cold and dark, facing a giant and terrifying eye, it felt like torture. Jamie trembled, unable to speak a word, and cowered, bowing down. After realizing Jamie's strength, Renan remained silent for a while before finally managing to say sorry. After punishing the two kids from Count Simon's family, he was about to go back home. The horse-drawn carriage arrived on time in the afternoon to help with packing. Jamie's face was full of happiness, and Simon couldn't resist chatting with him for a while. Both of them felt a bit disappointed because they didn't have more time to talk to each other. Their conversation didn't last longer, but Jamie realized that this Count didn't care about his own children. It was different from Jamie's father. Because the Count thought his children weren't talented enough and ignored them, they were estranged from him. Hearing his disparaging remarks, Jamie got angry. He raised his voice and scolded Simon for ignoring his children, thinking they lacked talent. But Renan had great hidden potential. Who knows what he could achieve in the future with Jamie's help? Just as Jamie was about to say more, he heard someone calling and quickly left. Simon watched the 9-year-old's back and let out a deep sigh, silently grateful for what Jamie had said. Not long after returning home, Jamie ran alone to the nearby forest to meet Philip and Janus. According to the information Jamie had, Janus Church had been doing good deeds all over Heist without asking for anything in return. They had even started running an orphanage right after the collapse of Libel. Jamie had known about them for a long time, so he was sure that these good deeds were just a cover-up for any bad things they might be involved in. That's why he told Philip and Janus to keep investigating to find out what was really going on. After getting everything done, Jamie gazed at the city from above before instructing Black to descend near the orphanage area. As soon as he touched the ground, he noticed a man with a holy energy lying on the dark road. Jamie stepped on the man's head and wondered if he should kill him. But before he could decide, the man grabbed him and complained about being hungry. Jamie didn't want any involvement with church people, so he ignored the man and walked away. To his surprise, the next morning he found the same person sitting and sharing a meal with him. Oh my, what a hungry ghost. The kind-hearted troops had brought him to the mansion. After eating, the man introduced himself as Roz, serving the goddess of mercy and punishment, Pyro. When Roz met Jamie's mother, he was shocked to learn that she belonged to the Bell family. He bowed and knelt before her, showing respect. Jamie couldn't understand what was happening. Despite having an old man's soul, he had to act like a curious 9-year-old child to get answers. Finally, he received the response. Oh, how frustrating. It spoiled the mood completely. After the meal, Count Adreno took the Holy Knight to a private room for a conversation. It turned out that the Pyro Church was searching for the person who created the chimera and was hiding in Heist. Chimeras were beings that were made from various creatures, but the chimera creators were being treated worse than most of the criminals. Due to Adreno's unique position, he couldn't promise full support. In the past, the Pyro Church got robbed of a very important item that was in their possession. Jamie's great-grandfather lost his life while trying to stop the theft. After that, The Pyro Church bestowed the title of an archbishop to his family. Jamie had planned to take revenge someday, but for now, he would put that aside and take full advantage of this opportunity. At the orphanage supported by the Janus Church, a young boy named Shino was brought to the main church to become a clergyman. With the blessings of everyone at the orphanage, Jamie left without knowing that his destination wouldn't be safe at all. The parish priest led him down a dark basement beneath the main church and directly to a room that revealed its ominous nature as soon as the door opened. In haste, Jamie followed the parish priest and stuttered out what he had just seen. "This place is weird. There's something scary in the room." But the priest and the bishop ignored his concerns, as they were eager to witness how an innocent child would transform when combined with the chimera creatures they were experimenting on. The next day, on a beautiful day, Jamie was forced by his father to accompany Ross for a walk around Heist, although he didn't want to. During the walk, Jamie tried every possible way to inquire about their previous night's conversation, but he couldn't get any information out of Ross. After a while, Ross insisted on going back, but Jamie changed his mind and decided to visit the Janus Church. By chance, he encountered the child he had previously seen while wandering the city after the encounter with the human traffickers. Even though being ignored, the young boy seemed happy about the visitor at the orphanage. While crossing the street, Ricky unfortunately encountered a fast-approaching horse carriage. The situation was a big surprise, causing the two horses to jump and dodge to avoid a collision. It seemed impossible to escape. But Jamie acted quickly and used a magic spell called Chain Area to create a magical circle that stopped the horse carriage while Raz pulled the child to safety. Seeing this powerful magic for the first time, Jamie couldn't hide his amazement. He believed that in the future, Jamie would become an existence so powerful he wouldn't be able to look him in the eyes. After thanking Jamie and hugging him tightly, Ricky took them to visit the orphanage. The caretaker of the orphanage appeared promptly and suggested that Ricky show Jamie around the place while she stayed behind to talk with Roz. Jamie agreed and followed Ricky. Their first stop was Ricky's and Anna's room. At first, Jamie wasn't too excited, but when he saw Anna, he was frozen in awe. He realized that she had got the disposition of a saintess, especially her two eyes. They were overflowing with holy power. A saintess possessed the authority of gods more than any other person and was able to use it freely as well. Feigning disappointment, Jamie asked Ricky to take him outside. On their way to the next location, Jamie expressed his desire to be chosen as a priest by Janus and brought to the main church. Just then, Jamie happened to meet Ras, and it seemed like he had finished his conversation with the caretaker. As they were about to head back, they coincidentally encountered the bishop walking with a knight. They exchanged a few words, and both Jamie and Raz sensed that something was not right about the knight. On their way back to the mansion, Jamie subtly hinted to Raz about some things concerning the Janus Church. 2 months ago, my father subjugated a criminal organization called Libel and found that they were involved in using young children in human trafficking activities. Come to think of it, I think Ricky said he was in Libel before he came to the orphanage here. Has the Janus Church always been charitable towards others? These hints finally struck a chord with Roz. So as soon as they returned, he hurried to report to Adreno. He also mentioned feeling a strong holy energy, but he couldn't be sure if it came from the knight of the Janus Church. It seemed to be combined with something else. Not sure what it was, he decided to find evidence on his own. Adreno couldn't stop him, so he immediately sent 3 Shadow Knights from the Welton family's guard to accompany Roz and support him in dangerous situations. Meanwhile, Jamie sat on the bed, thinking about the fact that a chimera could use divine power by using children as materials. He realized that there was something incomplete about their reveal, as it seemed rushed. So, he quickly wrote a letter and instructed Black to deliver it to Philip. Somewhere in the city, Philip and Jance were attacked by a knight. The knight had divine power, making him strong. He was in a bloodthirsty state, swinging his sword and threatening to kill them. Philip urgently told Jance to run and inform their master. Unfortunately, Before Janus could get far, the knight struck. To save his younger brother, Philip quickly pushed Janus down and used his own body to shield him from the powerful sword. His body was cut in half, seemingly unable to withstand anymore. Suddenly, a massive magic circle appeared, surrounding the building, accompanied by powerful chants. Jamie, using his newly learned skill called Dark Dimension from Advanced Magic, appeared confidently. He had been searching for that person for a while now, and it was time to fight. Facing the fierce and bloodthirsty knight charging towards him, Jamie joined his hands together and began using a 5th class magic called Gravity. Suddenly, the knight's body froze in place, unable to move. While he struggled to break free, Jamie used Grip of the death magic that summoned the dead to restrain the target. Not stopping there, Jamie unleashed another magic called Sacrifice. Its sacrifice summoned souls and created a huge explosion. From his hands, Jamie released a magical ball that caused a lot of damage. The knight screamed in pain, but it wasn't enough to stop him. Even though he was covered in blood, he continued to move and attack. Using marionette magic, Jamie attached strings to the knight's soul and controlled it, making him kneel on the ground and unable to reach his sword. As a last resort, the knight broke his own body and tried to escape. Witnessing this action, Jamie hurriedly approached and thrust his dark hand into the enemy's body, hoping to retain his soul. However, before he could prevent it, Jamie could only watch as the knight unleashed maximum holy energy, shattering the bonds of the dark magic. Finally, the true form of the chimera was revealed. It had terrifying tentacles that emerged from under its armor, but they were quickly trapped by chain area and met a death boom. Blood gushed out in large amounts, and the chimera's body became immobile. Realizing the dangerous situation, it abandoned its physical body and fled. Philip looked sad seeing their enemy slip away. On the other hand, Jamie was not bothered because the moment the dark hand pierced through his lungs, his body was filled with black mana, which meant Jamie could always find him whenever he wanted. If the enemy wanted to retaliate, they would face the consequences, as Jamie's power was invented for the purpose of God-killing. God-killing was a type of darkness that was made to kill holy beings and totally obliterate the existence together without leaving behind a trace. Jamie turned to Philip and cautioned his underlings to be careful, then casually used restorative magic to heal his body. With that done, he decided to bring the knight's body back home. Back in their room, Jamie carefully removed the iron armor to examine the composition of the chimera creature. Insect legs, organs that possess flame resistance, compound eyes of an insect, and lastly, the base was a human body. The crux was the core that was filled with holy power. Everything was seamlessly integrated. The Janus clan remained as ruthless as ever, regarding humans as mere pests and objects. This filled Jamie with intense disgust, which was the reason for his rebirth on Earth after thousands of years, to prevent the clan's atrocities. 12 gods had once imprisoned Jamie in the past, but this time, he swore never to grant them mercy again. On the bishop's side, upon the chimera's main body returning, he realized that things had gone horribly wrong. Since the knight's body was now useless, he hurriedly contacted the creator to construct a new body. The target had already been chosen. Early on, he had set his sights on Ricky, a devoted follower of Janus and the soul blood relative of the saint. The next morning, according to the prearranged plan, the bishop called the kids from the orphanage to the church to deliver God's message. In front of those carefree faces, the bishop felt no worries in his heart. He naturally saw his actions as a blessing and raised his hand towards a young boy, telling him that he was the one chosen by God, Ricky. When Jamie was with his mom in the room, a servant knocked on the door to inform him that he had a visitor. At first, Jamie didn't know who the visitor was, but when he thought about the orphan boy, he immediately asked the servant to bring him in. Jamie was unaware of what had happened at the orphanage, so when heard that Ricky got chosen by God Janus, he was shocked. But the most surprising person in this situation was Ross. He had returned to the mansion after failing to find the knight and coincidentally met Ricky. They exchanged a few playful words. "Ricky, being innocent, immediately shared his happy news with Ray's. Ray's anger erupted at that moment. The church deceived orphans like this. How dare they treated the lives of children so lightly? Raz tried to control his anger, placed his hand on the boy's head, and encouraged him that he would soon become a good priest, helping everyone. As Ricky walked away, Ross's expression changed. He no longer looked gentle and kindly. He growled, "You heard that, right? We'll be following the horse carriage that Ricky will be taking tomorrow morning, and he would personally show them the real consequences of playing with someone's life." The next morning, Ricky said goodbye to everyone and left happily. Jamie stayed in the mansion and, even though he didn't leave his room, he secretly used magic to search for the creature that caused the disaster. Chimera remained in Janus church, and Jamie anticipated that Roz and the knights would sweep through the church. Jamie's task was to confront the bishop and bring an end to this play. Outside the church, the action began. Lincoln approached a magically connected mirror behind Ricky and reached out his hand towards him. "You're gonna be playing with me." A sudden voice echoed in the room, followed by unexpected magical ropes that forcefully pulled Lincoln back. Jamie was the one who orchestrated this. Lincoln got angry and shouted, "How dare you get in the way of my plans? I'll show you God's wrath." Then, a magical incantation opened up a massive magic circle, transforming the room into a battle sanctuary filled with radiant divine light. The bishop took advantage of this, instantly gaining more power. He charged towards Jamie with an intense desire to turn Jamie into an ingredient for the chimera. However, Jamie was swift. He blocked the bishop's first punch with a disdainful gaze, and then showed the bishop what true power really meant. Jamie tightened the magic ropes, causing the bishop's hand to bleed. Jamie's dark energy surged, overpowering the battle sanctuary, almost engulfing it entirely. Jamie retaliated by forcefully swinging his arm, sending the bishop flying backwards. It was a display of strength that one wouldn't expect from a 9-year-old child. Lincoln crashed forcefully against the wall, causing a large crack to appear. At that moment, Jamie approached the bishop step by step, an aura of dark magic enveloping his entire being. Without waiting for permission, Jamie delved into the bishop's mind, using dark magic to unravel his thoughts and secrets. Meanwhile, Roz and the others faced a challenging situation. They followed Ricky's carriage to the main church, but as they discovered the entrance to a hidden basement, something unexpected occurred. Roz was struck by a thick chain, but fortunately, he remained unharmed. Without even taking a breath, he immediately confronted a fierce and combative creature. It was a dark and monstrous chimera, as if it had been waiting there for a while, ready to eliminate anyone who dared trespass without permission. Let's go back to Jamie. He just got the information he wanted. The Janus Holy Church was indeed intentionally creating a strong army to make some prophecy come true. After taking control of the person's mind and turning the villain in front of him into a puppet, Jamie quickly erased his memories and ordered him to leave. Jamie then took his place. The target Jamie approached was the crazy professor, who kept creating scary creatures. At first, things seemed okay, and the professor didn't suspect that Jamie was pretending to be someone else. But as they talked a bit, Jamie's true identity was revealed. Conversations between crazy people were very different from those of normal people, and Jamie couldn't understand what they were saying. Raz and the three knights, after defeating a few small chimeras, went deeper into the basement. Along the way, one of them was unexpectedly ambushed and couldn't defend themselves. This monster was stronger and looked different from the ones they had encountered before. In such a tight space, Ross couldn't unleash his attacks properly. So, he quickly retreated back to the door. Then, he turned around and used a move called the Sword of Judgment, slashing the creature multiple times. Unfortunately, it wasn't easy to defeat this creature. It came back to life and immediately hit Roz with a massive punch like a heavy hammer. To save Raz, one knight sacrificed themselves, and the others did their best to protect him. Following the Count's order, The knights were determined to achieve the best outcome, even if it meant risking their lives. The basement was partly destroyed by the huge chimera's attack. In a moment of opportunity, Ross, serving the goddess of benevolence and judgment Pyro, used Holy Marshal to cut his opponent in half. Because it was too powerful, the Holy Marshal could only be used for a short time and had many side effects. After borrowing the strength of the Holy Marshal, with one swing of the sword, Raz defeated the Chimera, which was over 3 meters tall, and saved the knight's life while transferring his pain to Raz. With the team in good shape, they continued their mission, but Jamie's situation seemed quite uncomfortable. The enemy constantly attacked Jamie with psychic abilities, and he even grew black wings from his mixed-up body. The place they were in didn't allow much room to fly anymore, so Jamie used magic to teleport them to the forest outside the main church, where the real battle began. The enemy used his long psychic tendrils to attack Jamie from all directions with incredible speed, while Jamie dodged and tried to analyze the opponent's body. The opponent had 9 different types of grafts combined into one human body. At this point, it seemed more fitting to call him a monster. Meanwhile, Roz and the team, after defeating the other enemies, started searching the basement for Ricky. He only had 20 minutes left to maintain the power of the Holy Marshal. But now they faced a chimera with the ability to wield a sword. And to make things harder, there was also a chimera composed of a demon horse and an ogre. Will they be able to defeat these creatures easily or not? Ricky woke up without realizing that there was a chaotic battle happening outside. The bright light revealed a terrifying scene right in front of him. His friend Shino was floating in a liquid-filled tube with only half of his body remaining. Ricky wondered if the priest's claim of them being chosen for a blessed purpose was still true. Determined to never forgive the evil deeds of the creatures, Ricky quickly left the dark room. As he moved towards the outside, he suddenly heard the loud sounds of fighting coming from a distance. Thinking that his allies had come to rescue him, Ricky didn't hesitate and followed the clash of weapons. Fortunately, he spotted Ross standing before him. Ross's sudden appearance diverted the attention of the demonic horse chimera, causing it to change its target. Ross urgently called out to others to stop it, but the most frustrating part was that there was still another obstacle blocking their path. Filled with anger, Ross unleashed a flurry of sword strikes at the demonic horse, but it wasn't enough to prevent it from landing a heavy blow on Ricky. Standing amidst the swirling dust and tears streaming down his face, Raz was relieved to see Ricky awakening with holy power just in time. In a last-minute move, Raz swiftly turned the situation around. He looked towards his struggling comrades fighting against the chimera with sword skills. Knowing he only had 10 minutes left, Raz urgently told Ricky to run ahead as fast as possible. The boy nodded in response and immediately turned around, running as fast as he could. On Jamie's side, a series of explosions erupted in the forest. After a fierce struggle, the monster was now truly enraged. He performed a magical technique called Tentacle Hurricane, summoning countless tentacles and directing them towards Jamie, launching a frenzied assault. Jamie still had one last trump card. Suddenly, he appeared everywhere after using a 4th-class dark magic called Doppelganger, creating an identical clone of himself with the same powers. The monster's body was starting to decay from the prolonged battle, so taking advantage of the moment, he unleashed numerous black ball towards his opponent, which was a spell where whoever touched this sphere would have their sense of pain intensified threefold. Finally, he utilized gravity to forcefully slam him into the ground with devastating power. Most of the chimeras on the monster's body had been eliminated, but unexpectedly, there were still a few remaining around, protecting him. It was all over. Jamie had nearly depleted his mana, and now he wondered how he could possibly defeat that enemy. A few loud explosions continued to resound, but unfortunately, this time, it was Jamie who fell to the ground. A big chimera opened its mouth wide and shot a really huge magic bullet towards Ricky. This could have been the end of the story, but luckily Ricky managed to catch it. The child sacrificed himself for Ricky, and Jamie lost another friend despite trying so hard to protect them. Sad memories from the past suddenly flooded in like a storm, making it hard for Jamie to breathe. Jamie's first rebellion against divinity summoned an army of skeleton warriors made to confront the forces of the 12 gods, and the skeletons now were all enemies of the monster. Jamie's job was to command them to go forth and satisfy their grudges to their heart's content. A fierce battle broke out right in front of Jamie. The monster couldn't handle the overwhelming number of terrifying enemies, so it just screamed in despair. At this point, it seemed like everything was coming to an end because this was Jamie's territory, where death reaped death. Finally, Jamie turned back to Ricky. Since Ricky had died, Jamie had no choice but to summon his soul back and turn him into an undead creature. But just as Jamie was about to touch Ricky, the goddess Pyro appeared and took him away. In another faraway place, Lincoln received Jamie's orders and went to the Count to reveal everything. Surprisingly, on the way, he was ambushed and killed by an attacker who then looked up to the sky and spoke to a mysterious person, saying, "We're getting rid of Hayes." The person hiding in the shadows nodded in satisfaction and commanded someone to begin the judgment of the heretics. Do you know me? Can you not hear my voice? Answer me immediately." The voice of the goddess Pyro echoed, leaving Jamie's mind dazed. Instead of replying, Jamie explained that he had turned Ricky into a living corpse without permission because he didn't want him to die. Pyro became really angry and said it was an act of disgrace to the death. But for Jamie, the ones belittling life were the gods, wicked individuals who sacrificed humanity for their own selfish goals. Although Pyro wanted Ricky to become her apostle, Jamie quickly foiled her plans by letting darkness take control of half of Ricky's body. Seeing someone interfere right in front of her made Pyro furious, but she couldn't do anything because if she touched Jamie, her only follower would also die. Looking at the silent Pyro, Jamie no longer avoided the situation and expressed doubt that she had been abandoned by the 12 gods. Declaring that he was Diablo Volpir's legacy, Jamie proposed teaming up with Pyro, promising her what she desired. Pyro didn't explicitly agree, but suggested discussing this further in Afton before suddenly disappearing. Not long after Pyro left, Ricky woke up. He knew Jamie was a dark magician and understood his intentions towards his sister, but he wasn't angry. Jamie had almost sacrificed himself to save him, so in Ricky's eyes, Jamie was a good person. Therefore, he used his holy powers to heal Jamie's wounds. Roz was on his way, and Ricky, being smart, promised not to reveal anything to him, allowing Jamie to escape. Everyone returned home, and the first thing Reyes did was take the Count to the Hayes branch of the Rhenish Church to judge the wrongdoing of the church. To his surprise, the judges there blamed the heretics and claimed they had executed Lincoln. Adreno, aware of their trickery, confronted them firmly, asking a serious question. "You dared to commit murder in my territory? Do you want to die?" This statement made the person in front quickly kneel down. Adreno added that he was the judge over this land. Nobody might harm another person in Heist without his permission, and the Janus church had gone too far. He even cut off that person's arm when he dared to speak up, ending everything with a sentence, "I will cut all ties with the Janus church." Upon hearing Adreno's decision, the members of the Janus church paid a hefty compensation for their actions and decided to leave the territory. Ricky and his sister Anna were luckier. Roz went to the orphanage and revealed the truth that Anna would soon become a saint with the ability to gaze upon the world with her holy eyes. Using his title as a holy knight, he welcomed the two of them to the Pyro church and hoped they would settle well in their new life there. As for Jamie, he faced a bigger challenge. The 12 gods were divided into factions, which was why the Janus Holy Order was trying to create a holy knight chimera. His new mission had begun, which was to use his charm to persuade his mother to let him go to his family home, Afton. As expected, she immediately agreed. The Duke of Welton was furious at his father-in-law's summons. He didn't know what his father-in-law wanted and called Jamie to see him. Sherbill. Even Welton's wife didn't understand what her father was thinking. Yet Lady Welton comforted her husband that they would be safe because the greatest order of knights of the Welton fief will be escorting them, the strongest of the Welton clan. Sherbill was still not entirely reassured, so Lady Welton went on to say that the Night Raz would accompany them. However, Sherbill is still worried about Jamie's talent because he possesses a power far beyond his real age, and Jamie almost ruins the Knight Captain if he doesn't control his own emotions. Lady Welton immediately tells her husband about the lovely act Jamie did the morning to calm Sherbill down. Before arriving at Afton, Jamie went to his servants and informed them of his trip. Jamie's servants were shocked when they received the news. They couldn't imagine how they could continue to currently disguised as lumberjacks for the next month. Seemingly anticipating their thoughts, Jamie said he would take them with him on this trip. Jamie then took out his unhead storage, which would be his new home for the servants. Although the two servants have no sympathy for Jamie's unhead storage, after being forced inside by Jamie, they gradually prefer this place. Inside the unhead storage is a source of magic power, which will help the servants recover energy faster and stronger. On the day of departure before leaving, Sherbill told Jamie to be very careful and reminded him to protect his mother and sister. Then the carriage rolled and they set off for Afton. 2 days after departure, while everyone was tired, Jamie got a good night's sleep. Reyes took the initiative to tell stories to the children to dispel boredom. The children were so interested in the story Ras was about to tell. They eagerly urged Roz to start the story for them quickly. Then Roz began the story. Long time ago, when dragons flew through the skies and elves roamed the woods, the Maya Tree Mountains were actually just one single mountain. But one peaceful day, two dragons appeared, the evil black dragon and the benevolent blue dragon, Maya Tree. It was a woman. It fell in love with a human magician, but humans and dragons were not allowed to be together, and the dragons who couldn't stand to see this sent the black dragon to kill the magician. And a violent torrent flowed through the valley. After their battle was over, the black dragon was chased out, but Maya Tree's woman has lost her life. After losing her, Maya Tree hid deep within the mountains, where they say he still remains to this day. The people also said that the frequent rainstorms started then as well. Then suddenly a tremor appears, causing Lady Welton and her daughter to fall out of the carriage. But Jamie quickly uses magic and saves them. However, Jamie is unable to save him, and Jamie's magic is disabled by a dragon, and Jamie is unable to use the magic. Then Jamie was dropped off the cliff. Lady Welton was so distressed to see her son fall off the cliff. She pleaded with the Night Cast to help her find her son. Jamie has regained consciousness in a cave. He is bound by magical strings and suspended in the air. A girl walks up to Jamie's side, and Jamie realizes she is the essence of the dragon. The dragon girl looks at Jamie suspiciously and asks him if Jamie is a dragon because she doesn't believe a human can be so talented. Although the dragon girl knew that Jamie was not a dragon, she still didn't believe that a human could use the skills of dragons so competently. Jamie asks the dragon girl to remove the leash on him to talk, but the dragon girl doesn't agree because she finds it fun to have Jamie hanging like that, and Jamie's expressions are also very interesting. Jamie has discovered this girl's personality is very similar to that of the blue dragon, Maya Tree. Blue dragons are the most mild-mannered, and they are very friendly toward humans. Jamie felt lucky that he had met a blue dragon instead of the green, red, and black dragons. Jamie mentioned the story of the legend of the dragon and immediately angered the dragon girl, who unlocked Jamie and warned him. The dragon girl's nature was naturally very gentle, so the dragon girl didn't destroy Jamie. Then she tells James the story of the truth. The magician that everyone refers to in the story is named Ganon, and he is a black mage. After fighting through many wars together, Ganon and Maya Tree fell in love, but the dragon tribe didn't accept it. The Dragon Lord has issued an order to destroy Ganon. All the other dragons are hunting Ganon and trying to destroy him. But Mayatri was prepared. She took Ganon to hide in a dungeon to avoid dragon hunting, and Mayatri herself was held captive by the dragon tribe for 1,000 years. After Ganon finds the truth of the dungeon and escapes from it, he comes to Mayatri's rescue, but in the end, Ganon still passes away. The dragons have wiped out the traces of Ganon's existence, but the only place left with traces of Ganon is this cave, so Mayatri has been here to protect this cave for many years. After hearing the story that Mayatri tells, Jamie asks Mayatri to take him to visit Ganon's grave because Jamie wants to commemorate a coin. Jamie feels sorry for Ganon's fate. He suspects that someone deliberately destroyed Ganon to keep some secret. Jamie asks Mayatri to take him to visit Ganon's grave because Jamie wants to memorialize Ganon. At Ganon's tomb, Jamie found the bracelet he had created in his previous life, and Jamie was also surprised to learn that Ganon had found out about the existence of Diablo Volpir after finding it. Jamie also succeeds in discovering Ganon's last diary, but Mayatri doesn't want to show it to Jamie, so Jamie asks Mayatri to tell him. After some agreement and exchange with Mayatri finally agrees to allow Jamie to see Ganon's diary. However, that diary was sealed. Even inside the diary, there were no words. Mayatri advised Jamie to give up because normal humans could not break that seal. Jamie overwhelmed Mayatri when he unleashed his own dark energy to break the seal and read the contents of the diary. It was the most powerful dark energy Mayatri had ever seen. She couldn't believe that a normal person like Jamie could possess such a powerful source. Mayatri wonders about the source of the dark magic that Jamie used. Then Jamie tells her the truth, which is that Jamie's magic is the source of energy that will fulfill Ganon's will. After learning that fact, Mayatri gives Ganon's bracelet to Jamie. Not only that, but Mayatri also promises that if Jamie is in trouble, she will trade everything to help Jamie. Jamie was very happy with what Mayatri had given him. But Mayatri quickly sent Jamie away after finishing work with him. Before returning Jamie, Mayatri didn't forget to remind Jamie to be careful. At the estate of Count Pure, everyone was fed a hearty meal after a long journey full of difficulties and challenges. He allowed them to eat freely and allowed them to make choices. While Jamie was walking outside, two robbers started spying on Jamie, who was interested in Jamie's bracelet. Jamie's hidden system warns him that there are two daters watching him, but Jamie still doesn't find it surprising. Since Jamie was also bored now, he didn't mind letting the bandits watch. While Jamie was dealing with the thieves, in the darkness, a black hole appeared. Jamie was pulled into the black hole by an arm and disappeared. Jamie was at the school lab. He was furious with Vena's actions and decided to attack her, but Vena tried to explain. Vena says that she is saving Jamie from those two bandits because they can use black magic to attack Jamie. However, Jamie still sees what Vena wants. He exposes it and warns Vena. Principal Garb nervously asks his students about Vena's whereabouts because their experiment needs to end quickly. Vena, after discovering that Jamie possesses a source of pure black mana, immediately begs Jamie to accept her as a disciple. But Jamie flatly rejected Vena. Vena cried and begged Jamie to help her because to create dark mana, Vena had to do experiments that sacrificed the lives of innocent people. But with Jamie's dark mana source, she wouldn't have to. Despite this, Jamie still refuses to accept Vena as his disciple, after which Jamie leaves. Jamie used stealth magic to uncover the Academy's secrets. He discovered that the Academy practitioners were blatantly performing dark experiments. Not only did they not feel guilty, but they were also very satisfied when they experimented on the human body. Vena was looking for Jamie when Hala caught her. She grabbed Vena by the hair and scolded Vena because Vena ran away from them. Hala used magic to silence Vena, even though Vena knelt down and begged. Hala didn't give up on trampling Vena. As soon as Hala attacked Vena, Jamie appeared and saved Vena. Then, Jamie helps Vena awaken Valkyrie. Jamie feels suspicious and wonders why someone as weak as Venna is Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a high-level angel known as a warrior angel, whose enormous strength is enough to wage war with 12 gods. Garb also realizes that Venna has awakened Valkyrie. He has ordered all practitioners to take Venna back and not to hurt her. Garb brainwashed all the students in the school and made them treat Venna cruelly so that he could easily control Venna when she awakened her powers. Venna is furious after learning this fact, but after being stimulated by Jamie, she takes the initiative to fight. But after preparing to attack, Venna realizes she doesn't know how to fight. But the strange thing is that Venna can easily dodge their attacks. Jamie has reminded Venna that her powers are great and Venna should be more confident in herself. The rhythmic movements from her body made Venna think that this body was not hers. Without wasting much more time, Jamie summoned the Black Orb and ordered the Black Orb to mark all of Principal Garb's henchmen, after which Jamie activated the explosion and cleared them all. Then Garb appeared. Noticing Jamie's talent, Garb offered to work with him, but Jamie neither refused nor agreed. He asked Garb about the benefits and plans for them to implement. Garb then stimulates Venna to awaken the hatred he has cultivated over the years. However, Jamie purged Venna's hatred from before, making Garb unbelievable. Jamie also mentions that level 7 is a taboo for Garb. Despite possessing the strongest curse, Garb couldn't pass level 6, which was a great shame for him. Jamie used psychotic magic on Garb. He was interested because he was hit by Jamie's magic, and he was excited to see Jamie's next talents. Realizing that he had had enough fun, Garb began attacking Jamie, who used the counter curse skill and succeeded in paralyzing Jamie. Garb used his supreme curse, which was time to imprison and destroy Jamie's mind. Just when Garb was glad that he thought he had succeeded in controlling Jamie, Jamie took the opportunity of the distracted Garb and attacked him. Garb was defeated by Jamie, however. Jamie did not destroy Garb, but he captured Garb's soul and made it his servant. Jamie gave Garb's soul a new name, Nervo. CRS was delighted to embrace her father. It had been 9 years since she had seen him again, and they were reunited in tears. CRS then discussed with her father some things about protecting Jamie's future and the difficulties Fierro Church is facing because of the influence of Zenith Church. Jamie was talking to Vane when he felt a dark aura coming from his mother's room, so he rushed there and attacked the dangerous aura. To the astonishment of his mother and grandfather, Jamie attacked Bailey, one of the 5 masters of swordsmanship in the Kingdom of Geldium. Jamie was then beaten up by his mother for a match, and CRS made him apologize to Bailey. Bailey helped Jamie explain since he knew the heir of the Welton clan was a very talented person, so Bailey challenged Jamie, which led to the boy who attacked him. Bailey recognizes Jamie's talent, so he asks Jamie to study swordsmanship. He knows Jamie is a mage, and Jamie can easily level up to level 9, but if Jamie learns swordsmanship, then things will be different because swordsmanship, if Jamie misses the opportunity, it will be very difficult to succeed. However, for now, Jamie only wants to focus on learning ancient magic, so he turns down Bailey's offer. While Jamie was relaxing by the lake, a giant monster appeared. He was about to use magic to destroy it when a man appeared and destroyed the monster with one blow. He is Sable, the aide of Marquis Bell. Sable is reporting to the Marquis about the massacres gathered in Afton, and the Marquis anticipates that the monsters are coming back with revenge. The Marquis tells Sable that the demons will be wiped out from the world again by the hands of the Bell clan. Sable receives the information and willingly takes orders from the Marquis. Sable also told the Marquis that he met young Master Jamie on the way to meet the Marquis. Sable said that Jamie was attacked by a monster inside the lake while he was relaxing by the lake. CRS is alarmed after learning that Jamie has been attacked by monsters. She threatens to punish Jamie if he wanders around outside at night, and Sears even scolds her father for his hobby of hunting monstrous and dangerous monsters. It was very difficult for Jamie to escape outside. He was walking on the street when he discovered a body with a heart loss. People thought this was caused by demons, but Jamie thought that some force was trying to take revenge on the Bell clan. Will Jamie find the mysterious force trying to harm his grandfather's clan? Let predicts the development of the next episode under the comments section. Don't forget to press the like and subscriber buttons below to support our channel.